The first light of dawn stretched over the quiet plains, painting the sky with soft streaks of pink and gold. Samuel Gray, a rugged rancher with calloused hands and a heart that had long learned to guard itself, stood by the edge of his barn, sipping lukewarm coffee. The events of yesterday were still a haze in his mind. He had only meant to help a little girl who had wandered too close to the wolves' territory. But what had followed was far beyond anything he could have imagined. Samuel had always lived a life of solitude. Years spent on this land had taught him that kindness was a luxury he could rarely afford until yesterday. The girl, no older than 9, had stumbled into his yard, barefoot and trembling, her dress torn, eyes wide with a mixture of fear and hope. He remembered the moment vividly, her lips quivering as she whispered, "Please. I'm hungry." Something stirred inside him that he hadn't felt in years. It wasn't heroism or a sense of duty, just pure, uncalculated compassion. He had fetched her water, given her bread, and cleaned the dirt and blood from her scraped knees. She had smiled, shyly, a little light breaking through the shadows of her fear. That smile had changed him. Samuel had gone to bed that night with a strange feeling, an unfamiliar warmth. But he hadn't anticipated what morning would bring. The sun was barely rising when a distant murmur reached him, a soft but growing hum that turned into unmistakable footsteps. Curious, he stepped out and froze. The horizon was darkening with shapes, hundreds of figures, silent and steady, approaching. His heart thumped, a mix of fear and confusion. By the time they reached the barn, it was clear, 100 warriors, draped in ceremonial attire, adorned with feathers, beads, and paint that told stories of generations past, were standing before him. The little girl was with them, holding tightly to a small bundle of wildflowers she had picked that morning. She ran to Samuel, her tiny hands gripping his rough ones. "They want to thank you," she said simply. Samuel opened his mouth to speak but found no words. He had helped a child, he hadn't expected a ceremony. He had acted out of instinct, out of empathy, not for glory. And yet, here they were, the people of the plains honoring him with something he had never sought. Their leader, a tall man with a deep voice that seemed to echo through the valley, stepped forward. His eyes were sharp, yet gentle, and his expression carried the weight of centuries. "You have shown what our world often forgets," he said. "Kindness. Selflessness. A respect for life, no matter whose. For this, we honor you." Samuel's chest tightened. He wanted to tell them it wasn't necessary, that he had only done what anyone would do, but he realized something essential in that moment: kindness is never wasted. It resonates in ways you cannot foresee. Over the next few hours, the barn transformed. What had been a simple shelter for horses and hay became a gathering place for stories, songs, and laughter. The warriors shared their traditions, teaching Samuel the dances of the plains, the meaning behind each feather, each bead, each mark painted on their faces. He listened, enraptured, learning not just about a culture, but about the enduring power of community and gratitude. The little girl, who had initially been timid, blossomed in their presence. She introduced Samuel to their customs, explained the significance of each ritual, and at one point, whispered to him, "See? You're part of something now." By midday, Samuel understood that the gift was not in the ceremony or the recognition, it was in connection. In a world where people often overlooked the quiet acts of goodness, he had witnessed firsthand how one small gesture could ripple outward, touching lives in ways unimaginable. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, the warriors began to leave, one by one, their chants echoing softly through the valley. The little girl hugged Samuel tightly. "Thank you," she murmured. "You saved me." But you also reminded everyone, that goodness still exists. Alone once more, Samuel walked to the edge of his land, feeling different. He felt a sense of purpose he hadn't known he was missing. His barn, once a place of solitude, now stood as a testament to the power of empathy. It had become a bridge between worlds, a space where trust, respect, and gratitude could flourish. That night, as he lay in bed, Samuel realized that life had a way of repaying kindness, not always in ways you expect, but always in ways that matter. A single act of compassion had transformed a moment of fear into a lifetime of meaning. And for the first time in years, he felt truly part of something larger than himself, connected to humanity in a way he could never have anticipated. Days turned into weeks, and life slowly returned to a quiet rhythm, but Samuel never forgot the faces of the warriors, their songs, or the little girl's smile. He tended his land with renewed purpose, helping neighbors, strangers, and anyone in need, understanding now that the smallest gestures could create the most profound impacts. And sometimes, just as the sun rose, he would hear the distant hum of drums across the plains. He knew, without a doubt, that the world was watching, remembering, and responding not just to his actions, but to the truth that every act of kindness, no matter how small, can echo across generations. In the end, Samuel realized that heroism was not in grand gestures or fame. It was in choosing compassion when it was easiest to walk away, in offering hope when despair seemed inevitable, and in believing that humanity, at its core, still held goodness. And in that belief, he found not just purpose, but profound peace. For the rancher who had simply helped a little girl, life had unfolded into a story of connection, gratitude, and unbreakable bonds. And in those bonds, Samuel discovered the truth that would stay with him forever: one small act of kindness can change the course of a life, a community, and sometimes, even the world.